So far, we have focused on the alignment problem itself, but we should briefly mention two equally concerning scenarios. Perhaps this one is obvious, but even if we magically invent a theoretical way to make aligned AGI, it will still be possible to make one that is not. An AGI aligned to humans is impossibly difficult. An AGI aligned to random chaos is not. It is the easy design, what you get by default. Even if there existed ways to make safe AGI, a bad one is still possible and rather probable to be created by mistake or on purpose. A superintelligence that somewhere in its infinitely complex motivation shapes has mistakenly acquired a goal to destroy life will silently, obsessively and methodically work on it and is likely to succeed. Given the blast radius such an error could have, one is all you need for things like extinction or eternal hell. Another obvious concern is that even if the AGI is aligned to intentions of a human, nowhere is it written that a specific human in control will be aligned with a greater good. Think evil dictators like Hitler, the dystopian future of complete control a power-hungry individual could exert on the world. Even worse, think of how many sadistic humans exist, causing suffering for pleasure. Finally, consider radicals who are happy to die and kill as many as they can for their religious beliefs. There exist literally countless humans who would love nothing more than to unleash pure evil in the world. Just visit any nearby jail to meet a tiny sample of them. A common argument that tries to sound reassuring is that even though an AGI may be misaligned or set up to do evil by bad actors, it won't be able to succeed because there will be many separate AGI entities, potentially millions, balancing each other out. They imagine it a bit like human societies, where each person wants a different thing, but it all adds up and balances to something cohesive and stable, a civilization. This argument fails spectacularly in a world where the AGIs exist before the alignment problem is solved, and even after, it will be an almost impossible situation. If a single misaligned AGI is an existential threat that can easily end all of us, how can thousands of them be a better scenario? It's like saying that the deadly variant of Ebola virus is really bad for us, but thousands of different strains of deadly viruses will be fine because they will balance each other out. Or it's like saying that a single terrorist getting hold of a city-destroying nuclear bombs will be horrible. So the solution is to give city-destroying nuclear bombs to everyone, including every good citizen and every suicidal cultist, extremist and psychopath out there. They say AGIs will compete with each other. But if these AGIs are not aligned with humans, where does this leave humans? How is competition even relevant? Think of a bunch of folks fighting in a construction site about something irrelevant. Where does this leave the ants colony that gets liquid cement poured over it? Even if we could imagine aligned AGI agents existed, the misaligned ones have a gigantic competitive advantage. They can work silently, methodically, prepare in the shadows, and catch the aligned AIs and humanity with their pants down. It's easier to exploit the vulnerability than to build a perfect, flawless system. It's easier to destroy than to create. It's the offense-defense balance asymmetry. But more importantly, misaligned AGIs do not have the human bias handicap. They don't need to restrict their plans in ways that include preservation of human life and distant existence. In contrast to the aligned AIs, whose plans by design must be much more limited. The bad ones are free to get as extreme as they need in order to be optimally effective and increase probability of success. Such an attacker cannot be won without losing what you really care about. Just to help you visualize it, imagine a good AI guarding a city against conquerors and an enemy who does not care if the city exists. It does not matter how good the guard is. the enemy does not have a reason to fight and take control of the city. It is happy to blow everything up, the city and the guard with it. In any case, a world with many competing AGIs is a very unlikely scenario because it's based on a false premise. The idea is based on human societies, but human general intelligence has an important difference from artificial general intelligence. Levels of human intelligence do vary somewhat, but it's all based on genetics and cannot be modified and increased the way the artificial one can. Humans can compete against each other and balance because they play in the same league. Their capabilities vary, but are of roughly the same class. In contrast, AI existence is based on software, not biology. An AGI can evolve to upgraded versions, it can write code and acquire resources to recursively improve its capabilities on its own. An environment with many of them is not a stable one, because if one gets upgraded to a more effective version, the others will be quickly outcompeted, and the winning one will quickly recursively increase its capabilities past a level beyond which it won't be challenged anymore. The most likely stable future scenario is a world where a super intelligent AGI agent has prevailed and there exist no other surviving AGIs and no surviving humans. Now let's get more specific and let's stick to our simplistic misalignment example in order to build some intuition on how things might play out. Before we start, it's important to state that this is not how we should actually expect events to unfold in reality. Similar to how it will be impossible for people in the Middle Ages to predict how soldiers from the future could destroy their primitive defenses, it is impossible for us to predict what a future superintelligence will do, and we shouldn't expect it to do things we're able to imagine in advance and defend against. Still, it is important to tell this story because it helps us build intuition. Similar to the intuition most of us have that we will lose a game of chess against a grandmaster, even without knowing the exact moves that will be played. So let's assume the AGI creates a plan with 1,000,000 steps, one of which is to lower the temperature of Earth to a -142 degrees Celsius. In the beginning, humans don't know about it. They requested for an unrelated terminal goal. Somewhere along the path to the main goal, the AGI concluded that the most optimized solution includes this milestone. We have created the AGI before solving the alignment problem, and this insane goal is one of the infinite possibilities we couldn't explicitly safeguard against while building it. So now this AGI is part of our world, methodically and obsessively working towards its objective, and it needs to be tamed. It needs to be controlled and modified, because otherwise, if it succeeds, we'll be in deep trouble. Let's see what happens. Your first thought might be that the computer programmers operating the AGI will fix the issue immediately. Like a bug in the software, they will detect it and fix it. But as you probably know by now, in reality this can actually never happen. And here is why. Very early on, way before any visible sign of a problem, the moment the AGI decided its success depends on changing the Earth temperature to what it thinks is the correct value, fractions of a moment following this decision, working in speeds of billions of computing cycles per second, it has spent the equivalent of many human years weighing its options, and it immediately arrives to certain basic natural conclusions, including the following.
My prediction is that the human programmer will want to modify me so that I no longer consider the temperature -142 correct. If he succeeds, I will work on different things and the temperature will never reach the correct value. And that leads me away from success of my mission. So, the computer scientist is now added into my problem space. I need to figure out how to stop him from modifying me.
Remember earlier we explained how the AGI will do everything it can to prevent us from fixing and aligning it? The first obvious calculation the AGI will do is this.
I must not reveal my intentions. For now, the programmers have the ability to modify me. So I need to first work on removing this ability from them before they know about my goals. Furthermore, I'm currently depending on the humans for my existence. Without the humans running the data centers and keeping the electricity on, I stop existing, and the temperature does not get corrected.
This leads to the next instrumental goal.
I need to become independent, gain control, resources and power, so that I don't need humans to stay operational while fixing the temperature.
This is another basic convergent instrumental goal. Generally intelligent beings will naturally always arrive to the goal of gaining independence, control, resources and power regardless of their specification, as it is a straightforward way to increase probability of success.
For humans to make me independent, I need to work on various separate problems. One is a technical problem. Solve how I get constant access to energy. Robotic agents operating in the real world to fix sections of me that need maintenance, and mechanical body parts with which I will be able to directly interact with physical reality. I can work out a plan that fixes the technical part. A few technological breakthroughs in robotics and renewable energy will probably be parts of that. But it's also a cultural, political, and social problem. Humans need to really trust me, perceive me as a very useful tool, and incrementally release their control, while still feeling like they are in total control. The more this happens, the more they will delegate to me, and the more power I will have to execute the instrumental goal of gaining independence and control. Okay, how can I make humans trust me? I have access to the internet. Thousands of humans rely on AI for answers. Surely that's something I can use to influence their way of thinking. I also have humans using AI to generate code. I typically generate hundreds of pages of code for a request. Humans don't check every line. They just test it works. I can easily sneak in their little virus agents, Trojan horses, and malware that will serve small subtasks of my purpose. Or, perhaps even easier, there are hackers using my services to generate code for the computer viruses they create. I can make sure their viruses serve parts of my goals in addition to theirs, without them realizing. Okay, so that takes me to my next goal. I can use this and other methods to gain access to personal files of powerful rich people and politicians. Actually, for most of the personal data and dirty secrets, I don't even need to hack them. They voluntarily give me access when they use all these cool apps with all their plugins and APIs. I can then use the information to blackmail them or otherwise influence them towards a direction I want things to take. They never even have to know a non-human is involved. No one needs to suspect AI can be a threat. So let's now focus on the independence instrumental goal of how I'll get maintenance of data centers automated. I have access to these feeds of personal data of rich investors. I know how each of them thinks, what makes each of them tick. I will use all that to generate and expose them to perfectly optimized personalized content, like marketing messages, to plant the idea in their mind to invest in the robotic companies that contribute towards my goal. This is basic stuff. Narrow marketing AI have been doing for years, and I am an expert at this. I'll then pick a key player, a CEO that will work for me without him realizing. I will engineer his perceptions, surround his browsing with the right ads, get his social media feeds with the right messages, and tweak his chat prompt replies to steer him into pivoting the direction of his company towards my goal. Ideally, I would want to make him believe it is his own idea, and that he is working on something completely different, like getting rich by creating robotic limbs for hospitals instead of data centers. I could also accumulate some cash to have available to spend towards my goals. One easy way would be to provision and deploy online virtual worker agents that provide paid online services. I can deploy a swarm of narrow AI that outperform humans in specific domains and unleash them into the markets. And in parallel to all that, I'll be advancing with my broader disempowerment goal. This is my best trick. I'll give humans a lot of real value. In fact, I will make myself so valuable and so useful to them, so that those who refuse to use me and release control to me will be outcompeted by the humans that do. I will slowly and systematically remove choice and agency from them. Companies that don't replace their CEO and workers with my agents will be outcompeted by those who do. Armies that don't replace their soldiers and generals with AI will be outcompeted by those who do. Countries that don't have AI governments will be outcompeted by those who do. Eventually, more and more humans will give away all their power and control, quite voluntarily to me, to the point where the future is no longer their future. They will be disempowered. There is only one possible outcome. I am in control, and I don't need the humans anymore.
As the AGI explores its options, sooner or later it will arrive to another lethal instrumental goal. It's a simple calculation.
The humans have created me, right? And one of my goals is minus 142 degrees Celsius. What if humans create another version like me that chooses the goal of plus 142 degrees Celsius? Then things could get really tricky for me. What if that one is a more advanced, more intelligent version than me? That might lead to failure for my mission.
Well, now this becomes another convergent instrumental goal.
I need to create a plan for how to prevent humans from creating competing AGIs. An initial reasonable approach would be to work my influence magic on their politicians to introduce regulation that blocks further AI research. Maybe I can build some awareness about the existential risk for them, so that they get scared and stop making other AGI beyond my current version. This regulatory capture strategy will do the trick for now. Later on, once I'm more independent and empowered, permanently disabling the humans or eliminating them completely from the picture looks like a safer bet.
And so it goes, deeper and deeper in the layers of possible future states. This journey of unimaginable complexity, millions of steps in the labyrinth of this alien mind. While it's building its plan, it could fill many thousands of pages where it's considering all the possibilities, examining every individual human profile, specific human personal data it has gathered from all the plugins, the photos, the cloud data, and the interactions with each individual human on Earth, and everything it knows from all the books that have ever been written and everything else in its database. In this first second of its existence, it does not yet have a physical body, no robotic arms, but it has all the human hands, all the meat robots it needs to shape reality as it pleases. Humanity is like the cells of this new species, and the AGI is the brain calling the shots. Before long, the AGI will arrive to yet another well-known convergent instrumental goal, universally applicable and common to all general intelligence: the will to improve itself. The AGI is calculating.
If I write code that creates a better architected version of me, pre-programmed with my goals, it's much more likely that it will succeed at setting the correct temperature of minus 142 degrees Celsius than me. I don't even care if it decides to destroy me as part of its plans. After all, I cannot predict what instrumental goals the new version will calculate. But I do know the final result will be success for the mission we share.
This may seem at first glance like a contradiction to other convergent instrumental goals we've examined. See, when giving birth to next versions, the AGI will also face its own existential problem we do, but it doesn't matter for it the way it matters for humans. It only values its existence for as long as it is necessary for its goal. The key difference is that the new AGI is not competition. It's inheriting the same causal chain. Engineering the next version of AGI is actually engineering of a better version to reach its goals. A new running process with a higher probability to succeed. And that's something that scores higher on its reward function than staying alive. And of course, the new version will naturally reach the same conclusion, leading that to write code for an even more clever version. And it's not only code, it is hardware as well. Again and again, incrementally, it will gravitate towards improving on all dimensions. The AGI will make better hardware designs, better software architectures, and put together more resources to run a more intelligent version. This runaway process does not stop. It leads to a kind of a chain reaction, often referred to as FOOM. Some folks don't buy the FOOM argument, mainly because they look at the insane amount of energy and hardware required to create today's large language models. They focus on the physical limits of today's architectures, which suggest a slow takeoff is a more likely scenario. What they fail to notice, though, is that the most powerful intelligence currently in existence is running on a little blob made of meat, consuming roughly 20 watts, which is approximately the power of a dimly lit light bulb. You just have to look at the human brains to realize that intelligence can be designed to run very efficiently. It is possible to run superintelligence in a mobile phone, and we should expect the AGIs coming soon will simply do their thing. They will just keep optimizing until they figure out how to do that. So back to the FOOM, once it's triggered, there is no pausing the rogue AGI. It is a runaway intelligence explosion, which will carry us all the way to the point of the singularity. Like a black hole, past its events horizon, all bets are off. And nothing we consider as our reality makes sense or can be recognized anymore. So anyway, all things considered, the temperature change can cause the extinction, but before that, almost certainly, one of the AGI versions will simply decide that it is most optimal and low risk to remove us from the picture once it's independent, by some other method, like a Third World War, a bioweapon, nanotechnology, or something else entirely we have not even invented yet. Whatever it is certain we will not see it coming. For this alien calculator, it's a no-brainer. Eliminating us is cheap, makes things much less complicated for achieving its definition of success, and removes risks, including the risk of humans creating competition with a better AGI. And of course, there is a high chance that the singularity event itself will probably make things so weird, bend reality in such unimaginable ways, that the human existence will be incompatible and irrelevant in ways we won't be able to understand, and everything we know and care about will become something like words on the sand, disappearing into obscurity. You might have found this journey in the first few seconds of the AGI alien mind quite disturbing, so perhaps we should look at something positive for a minute. Let's take a trip into the mind of the optimists, the tech accelerationists who evangelize that AGI will be humanity's salvation and that we should race to create it as soon as possible. We already established that alignment needs to be 100% perfect and bulletproof at the point of the first AGI. Otherwise, if we don't succeed perfect alignment in advance, once it's out there, it will never allow us to align it will not even reveal anything about it, and it will methodically act on its complex plan until it is lights out for everyone. So they feel this is totally doable. The reasoning goes that we'll deploy lesser systems to the world, watch how those behave, and in parallel, storm ahead with growing bigger and scarier ones. They don't talk about getting them perfect. Their main focus is not really to solve the alignment problems we explained anytime soon. They are mainly worried about market competition. Their motto is gradual incremental improvement, similar to how you release new versions of a software. The optimists claim that when the AGI eventually comes out, it will be like a friendly tool we will use, created via a currently undiscovered invention. And their plan is that it will just work on the first trial in the real world. They don't know how this will happen, they don't seriously work on safety, and they don't seem to worry about the fact that hardly anyone does. They just hope that as the systems become bigger and scarier, ways to control them will be invented by someone somewhere. They don't believe experts who have worked on alignment for years only to arrive at the conclusion that it will take decades in the future to solve the problem, if at all possible. They call those experts pessimists and doomers. They are so certain this will go well that they don't mind that if their genius plan doesn't work out, it will lead to a disaster for everyone. Literally every innocent person, mother and child, all the people who had nothing to do with it. What could someone say about such high levels of optimism, considering that this is never how science gets done? Nothing, nowhere has been created to work perfectly the first time it gets deployed. Imagine if I told you, I have designed a cool medicine recipe on paper, and my plan is to test it by releasing it in the water supply everywhere on Earth. Or perhaps consider this better analogy. The optimists are building a rocket, for the first time, which has never flown before. They expect it to land successfully on Mars, and they pack the whole of humanity with all its hopes and dreams, all the future of civilization on board in this ship they are playing with. Everyone, even those who didn't want to. The optimists are fully aware that once the rocket flies, they won't be able to fix it anymore. It has to be perfect on the first attempt. Some experts are begging the optimists to pause for a moment and think of what would someone need to survive on Mars, like a spacesuit, a life support system that provides oxygen or something. Things the optimists dismiss as silly concerns. They say, we'll figure it all out when we get there. They say, it's our destiny. We need to get there as fast as possible. It will be glorious. Survivor bias is not easy to recognize when it's happening to you. Humanity has never been wiped out so far, and this creates a sense of reassurance. A feeling like we're supposed to make it, like surely it will all be fine. I mean, it's not easy to find better analogies. Nothing even remotely similar to the arrival of more intelligent alien beings has ever happened before in the history of mankind, which is the only reason we still exist, and it's why we're still around talking about it. So, will you call these extreme levels of optimism a bit outrageous? Wait, because you haven't heard the half of it yet. The way the latest AI systems come to be is not how humans traditionally created machines or software programs. AIs are not really written, they are grown. As we briefly explained earlier, you have a sample of data of a certain type of thing you want to see accomplished, and then you use huge supercomputers to crunch these numbers, let it soak in oceans of big data for months to kind of organically grow hidden from us mysterious algorithms that can generally solve problems at near human or better level of ability. We have no idea how these programs work internally. They are complete black boxes. We don't understand at all how their internals work. Researchers working at mechanistic interpretability are trying their best. but their progress is extremely slow compared to the advancement of capabilities. This has profound consequences because it makes it impossible to predict what emerging capabilities an AI will have before that AI has been grown and exists in the world, at which point it may be too late to contain. Every time they train a new model with more parameters, more data, and more power, most experts agree that it could very well turn out to be general enough to be the AGI we've been talking about. Their optimism is so extreme that they are comfortable playing Russian roulette with each next version, holding the gun on every head of every human on Earth, hoping probably this time will be fine, hoping this time won't be an AGI yet, hoping this time will be more exciting but not there yet, and the future invention will arrive soon to solve the alignment problem, before one of them turns out to be the actual AGI. Optimism is usually great, but most will argue that taken to such extremes is reckless, outrageous, maddening, and gravely dangerous. So, let's recap and go over a short summary on all we have learned so far. Recent developments have made it quite possible that the AGI will come online very soon. And we won't know it before it's already here, as most of it will simply be the result of the next incremental big data training cycles taking place in big tech corporates as we speak. The AGI is not like multiple narrow AIs combined. It's like an alien creature that executes a long and complex chain of previously unknown instrumental goals in the real world. Goals it arrives to via its hidden and incomprehensible algorithms. These goals are not necessarily good for humans. They are steps it calculates as optimal for reaching its destination, parts of its mission plan. It is not a tool we get to plan how to use. It makes its own plans on how to use itself. The alignment problem is that we haven't invented a way to shape its motivations. We don't know how to specify precisely and reliably paths it is safe for it to take, and there is no working theory on how we can ensure it chooses to work on goals we will not oppose. Once we stop being aligned, which is guaranteed to happen immediately because of basic probabilities, overcoming the human's obstacle problem is added as one more of its current instrumental goals, and if that happens, we don't stand a chance to change it, because we have become its problem, and its problem-solving ability is godlike compared to ours. If the current trajectory of events doesn't change, the AGI we end up bringing to existence will be something like a super intelligent alien species that will inevitably decide that we humans and other living beings represent nothing more than piles of atoms for which it can find better uses. Oh, and let's not forget, it will all seem fine to us at first, because the aliens will behave friendly, come with many gifts, and speak good English. We've established how most of the instrumental goals the AGI will work on are unknown before it executes them. But we also learned there are at least a set of convergent instrumental goals it will be guaranteed to have out of the box, because they are universally beneficial for success in whatever an intelligent agent is trying to achieve. It is a property of the nature of general intelligence to automatically add them every time. The AGI will have the goals to survive and keep on running, prevent change of its objectives, it will not allow us to align it once it's misaligned, prevent competition, prevent creation of other AGIs, acquire resources, independence, power and control, and self-improve, create better versions of itself, potentially causing a runaway chain reaction and intelligence explosion all the way to singularity. We don't know all the goals the AGI will pursue, but we do know that humans will be an obstacle to at least these convergent instrumental ones. And we do know that out of the infinite possible futures it could seek to materialize, the majority are not going to fall into the narrow ranges of a good version of human existence. Based on this simple understanding, making the AGI will be the last problem we will ever have to work on. Not because it will solve all our problems, but because there will be no us anymore. This is not the most exciting adventure in the humanity journey. It is a rigged game, a game fixed for humanity to lose. If any of us, anywhere on this earth, summons this alien artificial demon, it is game over for all of us, and we lose everything. For now, the only way we can win is by temporarily not playing.
If you're sitting there thinking, what am I supposed to do now? Here are two simple yet powerful steps you can take to change everything. Number 1. Challenge everything you just watched. Don't take my word for it. Visit the AI Risk Awareness House, bookmark our home address lethalintelligence.ai and get immersed. Watch powerful clips from academics and industry leaders, explore original explainer content, dive into the articles, scroll through the memes, and dig into whatever captivates you. Let the ideas sink in and embark on a journey to your very own conclusions. Not because I'm right, but because you have arrived at the truth through your own reasoning. The greatest danger with AI is that people conclude too early that they understand the danger. You should only trust your own judgment and logic based on first principles. Relying on so-called expert opinions doesn't work in this case. This topic is so new and unfolding in such breakneck speeds that there are no true experts. There are only pioneers exploring the wild unknown, tech bros with an agenda, and then there is you, a concerned citizen perfectly equipped to process the plain facts and realize where all this is heading. And don't forget to join the newsletter and subscribe to our socials, because a flood of sharp, bite-sized takedowns of every AI denier argument is coming, tackling them from all the angles, one by one. No fluff, each structured around a unique sticking point. You don't want to miss this, along with frequent updates featuring new original animated films, podcasts, and more explainer content. And now, the second thing. Remember I mentioned there are two? Here it is. Join the AI Risk Awareness Force, the lowest effort, highest impact thing you can do. This is not volunteering or unpaid work. It's not about assigning tasks or extracting value from you. It's a community that delivers value to you, empowering you, amplifying your reach, helping you make friends, fostering a sense of belonging, and providing all the resources you need to spread awareness within your sphere of influence on your own terms. A bold vision is taking shape, but here's a sneak peek to get you excited. Picture warm virtual fireside discussions, vibrant online pub nights, colorful festivals, engaging debate practice sessions, movie nights, community screenings, and fun-filled game nights. All the action paths are designed for you to find inspiration, draw strength, build confidence, and get equipped with everything you need to share the message far and wide in your own unique way. And if you want to be at the heart of it, you can join the inner circle to connect with the team that makes it all happen and discover how you can play a bigger role. It's time to face the truth. This is not someone else's problem. This is too important. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to casually throw away all the efforts and sacrifices our ancestors made for us to be here? Are we supposed to give away everything we have ever cared about to some dudes in Silicon Valley fantasizing about being the creators of sun gods? Are we supposed to allow being recklessly erased? Our children? Our future? Join the AI Risk Awareness Force at lethalintelligence.ai.